Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I do is impress you with my mouse trap. All I do is convince you with my cheese. All I do is be the coolest cat here. But I'll need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito. But I need some more super burrito.
Hello, MouseHunt. Welcome to Feedback Friday. It is a day in January. What day is it? 30. Look at this. January has almost come to an end. Well, hello, everyone. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Welcome, like I said, to Feedback Friday, or maybe we should call it Frozen Friday. At least in our neck of the woods here, it's awfully chilly. Woke up to a balmy negative 20 degrees. Hopefully it's a little bit warmer where you are today. Nicholas first in the chat. Look at that, even before we got going here with a horse emoji, which is a good segue into talking about Lunar New Year. So we'll take a quick little look at Lunar New Year today. Kind of what new things are around the corner as well as, if you maybe haven't been through a Lunar New Year at one of the lantern style events before, a little reminder about how everything works. Dreaming, welcome on in. Hope you're doing well. 11 more days. Where will you be using your candles or your luck? It's time to start thinking about how best to use the loot bonuses and the luck bonuses. Tarako, welcome on in. Nice to see you. Elf is off to get their sorcerer base. Well, good luck in the School of Sorcery. Hello, Jason. Dallas, you're going to be doing a lot of candles burned at the conclusion cliffs. I'd imagine that would be a popular pick for quite a few hunters. Good morning to you as well. Itching Man. Hopefully not too itchy this morning. Dreaming, or Christy. Hello, Floating Islands is where it looks like you'll be landing for Lunar New Year. That's a good pick as well. Lady Nutsy with a coffee emoji in the chat. Well, thank you. That's a good reminder to take a sip. Rude, good morning to you as well. Michelle, nice to see you with a friendly wave. KDM, welcome on in as well. Well, we've already seen a little bit of Lunar New Year chatter in the chat. It's maybe good to remind everybody of the timeline of the event. It is arriving Tuesday, February 10. The event lasts for 2 weeks, which means it'll end on February 24, which that's also a Tuesday, if my dates are not betraying me. Let's look at a calendar. Look at that. Yeah, indeed. It is a Tuesday. 2 weeks after a Tuesday, it is a Tuesday. The space-time continuum is still in effect there. Lunar New Year, you get double and triple loot drops by burning candles. You can unlock up to a plus 50 luck bonus. That's a good question for the chat as well. What do you get more excited about, or what are you looking, at least, maybe it varies year to year, but what do you like to get more use out of? Do you like the double and the triple loot drop effects, or do you like that big luck bonus? There's certainly some areas where that goes a long way to achieving a perfect catch rate. Certainly, if you're doing a Valor Rift push, that was often a popular pick to utilize that plus 50 luck bonus in a very effective way, but you do need to raise your lantern all the way up the track to unlock that plus 50 luck bonus. And as a reminder as well, it's only active while you're burning candles, so you do need to burn candles to have the luck bonus going. This year, similar to previous years, is going to be a new theme. There's going to be new skins as well, and a new collectible ingot, which you can kind of see down in the corner there. It looks pretty cool. And this year as well, this is something we're just playing with right now, and welcome any feedback on also is the conclusion cliffs. We're looking to make that a stockpile location, but I probably should have put there only in the pre-writing phase. In fact, let's sneak that text in there in case there's any savvy screenshots. Pre-writing phase only. Is there only 1 or 2 T's in pre-writing? The irony of not being able to write. Yes, there is 1 T in writing. All right. I got to spend more time maybe in the folklore forest to improve my literary prowess, perhaps, to know how to spell things. Rue's looking forward to the journal theme. It will be Year of the Horse. If you have a eagle eye, I guess I was going to say a horse eye, but that's not the expression. If you have an eagle eye, you might be able to see said new journal theme. May very well be on the screen right now. Where could it be? I don't know. There will be a new theme and a few new skins, actually. There'll be one new one on the reward track, and we are adding a couple to the premium shop this year also. And as I said, that ingot as well. So we can slowly work on completing that Zodiac set of ingots year after year. I mean, bases were kind of the first thing to collect as the years went by, and then opted for something that's a bit more themed as a collectible. So that'll be fun to complete that set eventually. Lisa's all about the triple loot. Lisa likes getting triple loot drops. I would venture a guess that's probably, getting the loot bonuses is probably the primary use or primary thing that hunters are looking to achieve during the event. But, hey, don't forget about that plus 50 luck bonus. That's also mighty useful also. Maybe you're in the conclusion cliffs, as that's kind of, high-level hunter. That's something that just came out, working on getting some diamonds. You're getting some increased loot drops, but some of the mice are a little bit tough there, especially as you arm the higher tiers of cheese. And they get a little stronger. You usually have to pair it with a stronger charm. It might save you some charms now if you're burning candles at the same time. Murphy says good morning from Virginia at 8 degrees. Is that in Fahrenheit or Celsius? That might be Fahrenheit, it sounds like. 8 Celsius would sound like heaven right about now. I long for 8 Celsius. Snowbits indeed, a new stockpile location. And maybe we can take that for a spin, see what that looks like. See if I can load this up. Are we looking good here? Yes. All right. So we can play a little bit of Lunar New Year as well as a refresher. It's been almost a year since anyone has played Lunar New Year, or maybe this is your first time doing a Lunar Lantern event as well. So when you show up, first thing you got to do is claim the lantern. Every year there is a new lantern to collect. That's, I suppose, another little Zodiac set that will complete as the years go by. So make sure you claim that lantern. That's an important step. That'll allow you to light candles. There are various stockpile locations throughout the game that you can visit where the event will take place in. Everywhere from the town in Anya to, as I said earlier, the conclusion cliffs. That's something we're just testing out right now. Make sure there's no rough edges with making the pre-writing phase of the conclusion cliffs a stockpile location as well. Also, in the chat or hunters in general, if anyone can think of something maybe we haven't thought of why the pre-writing phase might not make the best stockpile location, certainly we're open to any feedback to pivot and change course there. But so far so good as we test it out. Seems to be working pretty well. And that's where I happen to be as well. I'm in the conclusion cliffs right now in that stockpile location. And you can, as you expect, use metaphor cheese, which is actually a little different from all the other stockpile locations. They're generally areas where you use standard bait. Your brie, your Gouda, super brie, Swiss, cheddar, marble, if you will. Whereas this will be the only stockpile location where you're using non-standard bait or a type of specialty cheese. You'll have to be hunting with metaphor Manchego cheese to be able to utilize the pre-writing phase as a stockpile location. Amazing artwork, says Alfia. We won't spoil the whole thing. You can see just a little window every year. We refresh that reward track background illustration to incorporate some of that year's animal. And it starts with a very normal or regular run-of-the-mill looking horse. Maybe I'll call it that. The usual suspect when it comes to a horse. But as you go up the track, as you can imagine, it gets a little bit more whimsical and absurd as you climb in the heights. And I like to think that that horse is just standing there warning you, like, there's some crazy stuff up there, man. I'm not horsing around here. You better watch out as you go up. Deb looks forward to the triple loot. However, the plus 50 helps with the catch rate, so they kind of work together. That's a good point. That's a good way of looking at it. Also, every hunt matters, especially when you're hunting a very difficult mouse and you're trying to get that loot drop to triple. If you wait until your lantern has been raised high, you're more likely to make sure you catch that mouse and you don't waste a candle by failing to catch. Choir can't wait for loot bonanza. Stealth looks like you're going to be hunting in the Sunken City to collect some sand dollars. That's a good use as well. Part of the fun too, I think, before Lunar New Year arrives is just setting yourself up in a few locations. That's a good opportunity in the Sunken City. Find yourself a good treasure zone, kind of park right at the front of it, so you're all set. You're raring to go. I know I prepped a waterfall run, and I'm going to try to get a 100% fantasy run prepped as well. I don't always try to get 100% fantasy, but to start Lunar New Year in the conclusion cliffs, I'll probably try to get a all fantasy conclusion written, ready to hunt. Christy's also in Virginia. It's a -4 Celsius there. We're up to, what are we? It's a balmy -14 Celsius now. So it's gotten a little bit warmer since I stepped out of bed this morning. Dallas says it feels like a natural stockpile location to me. That's good to hear. I was wondering, I don't know if hunters would have any different sentiments, any different concerns that, it is technically a little different. You don't hunt with standard cheese. You have to hunt with Metaphor Manchego. And here we'll take a few hunts. As always, in a test environment, we can hunt a little quicker because it would be awfully hard to demo something 15 minutes at a time. We might be here for a few days. So, we can do some hunting. I'm hunting with my Manchego cheese, and sure enough, I am getting some dumpling cheese. When you arm your dumpling cheese, out come the various Lunar New Year mice, and you start getting event mice. You may also see, there we go, you still get the occasional encounter of a mouse from that area as well, from the stockpile. That said, if you use the Neon Gouda cheese, you'll get nothing but Lunar New Year mice. A costume pig. And the event mice drop candles, and you can go ahead and light those candles. Probably not a great idea to light those candles while you have dumpling cheese armed. But if I switch back, it's probably not the best use of candles either. There we go. And you do get occasional mallets during the pre-running phase. Certainly not the main way to collect those. But if you're in the stockpile location, you'll be getting a few mallets. I don't know if you'd particularly want to be burning candles while you're doing that, but to each their own. But here we can take this for a spin as well. What can we do here? Leave our candles lit, and we'll start writing. Better arm the correct cheese. And I need that luck bonus. I'm missing some mice. And sure enough, the story threads are doubling. The mouse dropped 2 story threads, and because I have a candle lit, I'm getting 2 more story threads as well. And I'm slowly unlocking that luck bonus. That will max out at +50 when the reward track reaches its maximum height. South's enjoying Conclusion Cliff's going to be here a while. The grind is fun. It is a bit of a long-term area. Definitely there are some long-term goals to pursue in Conclusion Cliffs, that's for sure. It's nice too. That's nothing new to the world of MouseHunt as well, being some areas you might go and work on a little bit of progress, go work on something else for a little while, come back a little bit later. It's the type of area that you may visit several times as event seasons roll through. You might kind of get a little bit of a boost from something and then go back and hunt, use up some of those event supplies. And that's certainly a lot of fun. Warpath for strike boxes, says West. That's a pretty good use as well. Fort Rocks for dust, Tarako. Fort Rocks picking out in the Lunar New Year. Hugh is going to, it's going to be 1 year since you got the hearts you needed. Might try my luck again there to help others out as well. Yeah, the Draconic Depths is a popular pick also. You can get all your loot to double there. I mean, it won't affect the replica cart, but hey, on the direct loot drop you get as well. Vortex is a little warmer. South of us in Texas is 45 degrees. I assume Fahrenheit. That sounds nice to me. I would take that. Rude, how many mallets has everyone saved for Lunar New Year? That's a good idea also. If you're going to be doing more than one run in Conclusion Cliffs, you may want to have some extra mallets handy. Maybe as you do a few runs right now, you might want to hold off on re-rolling quite as much or picking your chapters. Save a few extra hammers in case you're trying to get some extra good runs set up. Make hay while the sun shines, so they say. Zach asking for another rift area like Feroma be made a stockpile or Valor Rift, but it's a long shot. Yeah, certainly. I mean, we kind of keep our eye a little bit on where players are hunting. That said, there's not a whole lot of the stockpiles aren't a whole lot different. So, certainly in the terms of your friends bringing you on a hunt, we try to cover a good amount of regions where we can. It is a little bit tricky, though, incorporating stockpiles into areas that have very unique ways in which they work, unless they have specific phases. And even then, we got to kind of just dot our T's and cross our I's. So the conclusion cliffs, for example, only the pre-redding phase is a stockpile. On the beanstalk, only while you're climbing. And actually, the beanstalk has a bit more of an asterisk next to it as well. While you're climbing, at the end of every segment, you still get that boss mouse as well. So you can technically, every 10 hunts, your dumpling cheese won't get an event mouse. At Ford Farm, floating islands, only the stockpile is a or the stockpile. Only the launch pad is a stockpile location. I think I was going to say only the stockpile is a launch pad location, but that's all right. We'll keep drinking coffee. We'll get there. Draco, those Deus Ex mice will take forever to silver. Well, I think things will build as you go too, right? It is a very long-term area. I imagine you'll accumulate resources. You kind of build up your economy a little bit as you go, and similar to other areas also where, the fungal cavern, diamond cheese, takes a while to earn, but kind of as the years go by, you start to get your hands on a little bit more, and kind of the feeling of the area changes a little bit as it ages. Any hints if we should keep our sights to the sky once Lunar New Year fireworks are over for any visitors, eh? Well, to think ahead a little bit past Lunar New Year, so we're kind of in the middle of what we like to call event season that starts with the Halloween event. Then you have the Great Winter Hunt, then Lunar New Year. MouseHunt's birthday is just around the corner. The game's going to be turning 18 years old. The Super Brie Factory will be making a return. And then after that, the Spring Egg Hunt as well. That kind of is sort of the final event of event season as well. It's a longer one. Typically, it lasts a good 4 weeks because there are so many eggs to discover if you're looking to collect them as well. So that's probably what you can expect in the immediate future. Paratube asking, what is the daily gift in the Lunar New Year? It is the type of thing, there's not a whole lot of resources for Lunar New Year, right? So some variety does pop up, but the envelopes are in there as sort of the filler in between some other items, and it would be a little bit too much to have that be the gift of the day every single day. So, we welcome some other suggestions of, what would you like to see us do there? But yeah, it is tricky. The Lunar New Year event, particularly when you're coming up with those gifts of the day, there's just not enough items involved in the event to come up with a good, fun, and balanced variety of items. So the red envelope, it is a bit of a filler. I will admit it is a bit repetitive, but we're a little bit stuck for ideas without it being imbalanced. Stealth wondering how deep of a dive can you do with the Rune Shark trap? Because your 10-kilometer and your hunts are lacking. You're just wondering what the general opinion before reset. Well, when you're out of oxygen, you're out of oxygen in the sunken city. That said, if you are, a really good zone's coming up, check how many King's credits you have. You can get oxygen canisters from the King's Arms. That's a good way to resupply while you're diving. Check your inventory during the Halloween event as well. You can get liquid oxygen potions. That's also kind of a way to resupply a little bit as you go. Or actually, we removed... No, okay. What did we do? No, we didn't remove them, right? But actually, you can find them now. They're both during the Baba Gaga event. You can get the liquid oxygen potions, but you can also find them occasionally as loot drops while you're diving in certain zones. I believe the oxygen streams. You will find that as an uncommon drop. Vortex is loving the names and the descriptions of the cliff mice. Well, you have Norm to thank for that. It was supported by the whole team as well. Everyone pitches some ideas, but definitely Norm puts on the writer's cap there. He was the editor, at least for the cliffs, finalizing all those descriptions, and yeah, knocked it out of the park. Stealth, you had a liquid oxygen just yesterday. Well, there you go. Check your inventory. You might have a few more. Who knows? And maybe you looted a few along the way. But speaking of conclusion cliffs as well, it's always kind of, we've been keeping our ear to the ground for feedback as well, and sentiments, just kind of logging everything. I mean, the area is still very new, so we want to kind of record feedback under the category of like what was the first impression like, and as players are able to now sink their teeth a little bit more into the area, like I said, it's a bit more of a long-term area. You have to kind of build up a rhythm, kind of fine-tune your strategies a little bit, start making some higher tier resources to be able to use them a little bit more strategically. So we've been keeping our ears open for feedback, because we will be looking to put together a map release at some point for the Conclusion Cliffs. And that's a great time. We kind of review a lot of that feedback. It might provide food for thought as we put together the maps, or just, aside maps as well, and sort of like little patches, adjustments, fine-tuning, or fixes that may need to happen if there's any non-critical bugs, whether it's UI bugs, or button needs to be moved or resized, that sort of thing as well. So we've been keeping our ear to the ground for that. I'm curious to know, have hunters been started to use higher tier cheese a little bit more often? Certainly when you first show up, you're using a lot of the paneer cheese, and you started to use Story Saga a little bit, based on what hallways, or not hallways, what chapters or genres are ahead of you. Has that started to, maybe you've been able to use Story Saga a little bit, and even a little bit of the Deus Ex cheese? And that strategy for managing notoriety too, is that starting to feel a little bit different now that hopefully you've got your hands on a little bit more of the high tier cheese to see, a little goes a long way, and where you can use it to manage your notoriety. You could put candles as the gift of the day. You can only collect 15, so it's not too over the top. Yeah, I mean, it's a little tricky, because then you'll be collecting candles while you're burning candles, so it's kind of the cadence of the event a little bit. There's a variety during the event as well. The gift of the day won't purely be the red envelopes. The thought process in coming up with why is the postscript 10 hunts? It's tricky to get that just right, for sure. I mean, there's definitely some thought process there, in that they're very critical hunts. So you're probably going to be using some pretty good charms. Maybe you're going to activate one of your M1000 processors as well, and so you don't quite need as much if it's a shorter time frame. But indeed, it is an intense moment as well. A lot has built up to those 10 or so hunts in the postscript as well. But also manage your notoriety well. Hope to see as kind of the area goes on and hunters get a little higher tier cheese. Can you manage your notoriety? Certainly if you write your conclusion with all the genres in it, then you're probably going to have the most unpredictable result. Or if you keep it to one or two, you have a little bit more influence over what to expect is going to happen during the postscript. But all the same too, you get some curveballs thrown to you, and that's where interesting choices come into play, where things didn't quite go how you were thinking they would go, and how can you adapt your next run to overcome that little bit of adversity. So it's a little bit of a thought process in terms of the resources that you're going to spend during that time, as well as to create a few circumstances that aren't uncomfortable, but they weren't quite what you thought. A little bit of adversity, and how do you strategize to overcome that? And the hunters who can formulate that strategy, then it'll result in some more long-term success. Vortex, you think the Conclusion Cliffs, it's a bit unfortunate that the acronym for Conclusion Cliffs is the same as Condensed Creativity. CC, in my mind, it's burned in there as Condensed Creativity, but I'll try to have a two acronym definition enter my mind here a little bit. You can build your own mouse pools, and long-term another way to get the mythical Dragonheart. That is a good point as well. If you visit the general store in Conclusion Cliffs, being kind of the finale of that storyline, and give diamonds to a good long-term use as well. There's a variety of things you can do with those diamonds, and one is mythical Dragonheart. Golden geese are in there as well. The dragon skulls. There's a few good and interesting items in the general store. Organic's been mostly using Paneer and a tiny bit of Saga. That's kind of where I'm at a little bit as well. I'm using maybe not a tiny bit of Saga, but I'm using Saga a little bit more now as I'm kind of getting somewhat more established. I've got a few mallets now, in the inventory, and that's just kind of helping line up a little bit, take a second shot, Yeah, I hear you, Paratu, but it is what it is. Like I said, there's not too much, without inventing a new item to add to Lunar New Year. So, it is what it is. I suppose the other option is we just don't have any gift of the day during the event. And, that's an option as well. Maybe that's something to get feedback on and mull over. At this point, it would probably be a change we wouldn't make going into this year, as we're pretty well, everything's already built and done. But, that might be good food for thought for next year. Like, well, if the gift of the day doesn't work for all the events, maybe we don't force it. Maybe we just kind of let it be the usual, gift of the day that would be running out if an event wasn't active. And, actually Lunar New Year taking place throughout the whole game, maybe that makes sense, kind of tie into the fact that it's an event that supplements or enhances all the areas in the game. It doesn't ask you to travel somewhere and achieve specific objectives. It just says, well, here's some tools to do the same objectives you've been working on, but just a little bit supercharged. Like the melting snowmen on the map is a nice touch. We did opt to just leave the winter version of the map up for a little bit longer. That said, the mobile app update is going to be rolling out next week, probably first thing Monday, assuming we don't have any last minute problems that we spotted. And that will have the lantern version of the map is going to appear very soon. And just due to kind of technical limitations, that does roll out on mobile ahead of time because we have to kind of upload that and publish it so everyone can download it to their phone. So the map has to be updated ahead of time on mobile, and then the map will be updated on the browser when the event actually begins. So that's coming up soon. Fresco wondered about a new changing the abbreviation for condensed creativity. It's like muscle memory at this point, though. So, KDM still can't find a good time to use Deus Ex cheese. It can be a little bit tricky, and it might come down to overcoming, like I was saying earlier, a little bit of that adversity. If the chapter, your conclusion isn't looking the way you want, and the genres aren't looking the way you want, arming that cheese, you can almost think of it like you can turn a short into a long in terms of the number of pages you can add to the book. So you can really kind of swing it. Your book is like half adventure, and then you arm that Deus Ex cheese in, say, romance, and it'll just drown out that adventure. Now the romance will kind of fill up the majority of your conclusion. So you do need to be a little bit strategic with it, and in a lot of ways it's to get you out of a bind, which is a little different, to be fair. I mean, that's maybe a bit of a learning curve there. Other areas, higher tier cheese is usually just always better. If you're in the fungal cavern, mineral cheese is better than glowing Gruyere. Diamond cheese, that's like stronger, it's better, more valuable than mineral. This is a little bit different, where the cheese is all the different types of cheese have different difficulties in acquiring them, but then how you use them. Well, the best cheese isn't always the strongest, most expensive or valuable cheese isn't always the right choice to be arming. So it might take a little bit of time. That's something we're keeping an eye on too on feedback. How do hunters pull on those levers? What sort of strategies form? Deb uses Saga in the postscript to start building the loot for higher tier cheese. That's a good use as well, right? You can't get your hands on the Deus Ex cheese without using Stored Saga. It's kind of tiered progression. Remember, too, you can use that machinery in the general store to pick up mallets. Forgive me if I ever call them hammers. I think the hunter's hammer has solidified the noun hammer in my mind, but mallets. You can get mallets from the general store with some of that machinery. So as you hunt with Storied Saga, you'll get some machinery drops, and even if you don't want to use that for cheese, you can get some mallets. You might be able to pick up 3 mallets to change the genres, re-roll them. Organic, the most enjoyable events are like the egg hunt, where we kind of just hunt wherever we were already. Yeah, I agree. I like those ones as well. It's nice to have a variety of areas. There's different things make each one shine. But really, even Lunar New Year is another one that's like that I love. It kind of takes place anywhere. I think even Lunar New Year is one of the, I don't know the right word, but it just is one of my favorite events, and just kind of how it works It just makes everything that already exists shine a little bit brighter, a little bit more fun. You're a little bit more powerful no matter where you go. And I think what I like about it is the player agency and the autonomy. There's not really just one or two ways to play the event. It really comes down to where are you? What are your objectives that you're looking to achieve in the game? And everybody can play the event different that way. And I think that's what I like so much about it is the variety that you see playing out and how players tackle it. What do they use the event to accomplish in the game? I think I like that as well, where it's not so much like you go to an area and you're completing sort of an adventure and you feel like I'm done the event. It's more enhancing what's already there. It just kind of makes the existing game. It doesn't take you out of what you're doing. Anyway, I think I'm repeating myself in 7 different ways, which might mean it's about time to wrap up. We can get to the trivia in a moment. Zach still can't find a good time to use the nanny bot. You might be searching for a while still. I don't even know if during the birthday event. Let's check. Let's check what the Terrible Twos mouse is saying. Well, there you go. During the birthday event, with that Terrible Twos is coming out, you might want to try the nanny bot, but no, that's probably still not the best choice. But it's a novel choice. You can do it. Para, before events start, you typically buy items in the marketplace. Lunar New Year event, you can't buy anything. There's the candle packs. So there are the packages of candles you can buy, but the candles themselves you cannot. So there is some tradable stuff in the Lunar New Year event, but you gotta look for the packs, not the candles themselves. So really, it would be good if there was an advantage to longer chapters. Fair enough. That's been something we've been keeping an eye on and just kind of distilling some of the sentiments and trying to think, what's some of the motivating sentiments behind that feedback as well. So it's something we're keeping an eye on. That said, the longer ones are an opportunity to get out of bind a little bit or kind of influence the way your conclusion is going to be written. Even if you get one right at the start and you didn't choose your genre, so you kind of started with a long, well, that's a variable in the equation. I tend to compare it to card games. When you pick up your cards that you've been dealt, right? They're not always the cards you were hoping to see. But the interesting part of the card game is, well, now what do you do based on the cards that you've been dealt to you? And that makes every run a little bit different. There isn't just kind of one way to play it. Or in other words, the intention there is that over time, it's less repetitive because each run is different and unique. Whereas if it was very predictable, let's say you had infinite mallets, you could just bend it to your will and just do exactly what you want to do every time. It would be very repetitive. And, that was even in playtesting, as we playtest with unlimited mallets, be like, this is really boring because I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's very predictable, where you're not anticipating a challenge to overcome. You're just waiting for a result to happen. And so it's a very different kind of feeling, I guess, and one feels a little bit more entertaining than the other. Larry is always friendly. Larry is a friendly knight, not just a knight. It's a special rank, friendly knight. Katie, I'm asking, which charms get upgraded by the Rainbow Diamond Refactor base? I don't recall if that went live or not. We were going to tweak the wording on the base a little bit, and there was a little bit of confusion there. So I think it's said or says that it upgrades Ultimate Ancient into the next tier. So remember, Ancient's kind of the next tier of charm in that upgrade progression is Rainbow, and then Rainbow into Rainbow Spore. And remember, at the floating islands, you can exchange Ultimate Ancients for Rainbows. So if you're somebody who does a whole lot of Slayer maps, you probably have a lot of Ultimate Ancient charms. Remember, in the floating islands, you can upgrade those into Rainbow, and then the Rainbows can become Rainbow Spore. So the Diamond base will upgrade your Ultimate Ancients into Rainbows, and then your Rainbows into Rainbow Spores. And then Super Rainbow Spore exists, etc. Now, not all the tiers of Super Rainbow exist, but we might stand to reason the logic might be, well, eventually it might be able to continue to upgrade them should a source of those charms ever be discovered. But we'll have to wait and see. Vortex, anything suspicious going on in the Rodentia Ocean this year? Maybe. I've been keeping my eye on the ocean as well. Have you noticed a little bit more traffic sailing either through or above the ocean? I thought I've noticed a little bit of trouble forming. Seems like there's been some lawlessness on the high seas. That might need to be resolved at some point. Mecca, yep, you were looking forward to collecting the mallets at the same time. Yeah, that's what we thought too. You're already there. Yeah. So what was I saying here? Conclusion cliffs being a stockpile location. You'll find an occasional mallet while you're hunting there in the stockpile, setting up the event. That said, the best way to collect mallets is during the postscript. It's definitely during writing. It's not kind of sitting during that pre-writing phase. But we did add a few as loot drops there. Say you just needed one more mallet to be able to pick your genre, or something like that. Okay, you can kind of sit there overnight and you'll find a mallet or two. But you're not going to find tens or dozens of them at a time. But let's wrap things up, I guess, here if we're at the half hour. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle, do you know if that description of the base is live? Michelle's filling me in of what the new description for the diamond base is and just put me on the spot. I don't even remember if we put that live yet. That tends to be a symptom of reading the chat and talking at the same time. The memory bank shuts down. The CPU fan on my brain turns on if I try to do too much at once. But we did change it where the effect everywhere provides a chance to roll up Ultimate Ancient Charms into Rainbow Charms. Also everywhere provides a chance for all tiers of Rainbow Charm to roll up into their next, more powerful version. So Rainbows into Rainbow Spore, etc. Well, Nid's guessing some trivia question answers here, so... Michelle, don't think it's live, no patch notes yet. All right, well, that's cooking. That's even off the stove. It's just waiting for the server to pick it up and carry it out to the table. But yeah, description tweak for the Rainbow Diamond Refactor base is on its way. Which maybe, what else is on the way here? At this rate, we'll do the trivia in 7 hours from now. How about that? Let's peruse here a little bit. Let's comb through what's sitting here in the queue. That's entirely the wrong project. That's not going to work. There we go. We got to stop talking to be able to remember how to use a computer. Oh yeah, we're looking at, you might notice an error when you sound the horn sometimes when you have a King's Reward. We were looking at a fix for that. That might be ready to go. Yep, there it is. Okay, so the Rainbow base, that's still in the pipeline. That's just about ready to roll out, as well as a few little legibility tweaks for some when you're looking at fantasy, and this kind of has that gradient of colors behind it. It makes things a little bit hard to read. We're looking to tweak some of that a little bit. Fixing on the HUD, different items light up based on what you can loot. It seems like a wire got crossed there and the wrong item might be lit up at the wrong time. Looking to fix that up. Tribal Isles mobile HUDs, actually. That was, Chris put that together over the last couple weeks. That's actually very exciting. We're hoping to get that out the door in the not too distant future. But we have put together HUDs, at least on mobile. We have kind of reusable tools to build HUDs on mobile. And we had a little window of opportunity where we were looking for a project and Chris picked up Tribal Isles mobile HUD, so that's exciting. That's on the way. And yeah, that's about it. That's in the hopper. Yeah, Force. Push Origin Force live. What could possibly go wrong? Well, today's trivia question, what do we got? It's kind of Lunar New Year. This is a little bit of a cute trivia question for you. I just gave away the answer. Great. All right, well, that's kind of how trivia works. It's more interesting. It's more of like interesting trivia about the game. It's not meant to be a game show, like a question that's difficult to answer. No, it's like trivial knowledge about the game. Yeah, there we go. Which event brought horsepower to the kingdom? And in case you didn't hear me give it away at the start, it's one of the Lunar New Year events, but which one? We still got to figure out which one. It is not the birthday event. KDM, how did you know the answer so quick? Didn't even hesitate. We didn't even get any incorrect guesses. That doesn't even feel like a guess. Said it was Lunar New Year 2014. Do we know what the style, what was that event called, at least anecdotally? But you're correct. It was 2014 was the year that brought horsepower to the kingdom. Maybe it existed before then, but hopefully this will click in a minute. Calamity Carl. Why do we put tongue twisters in the game? Just to have difficulty saying it. Yes, Calamity Carl's Cozy Cruise introduced horsepower to the kingdom, because that's a horsepower potion. It would give you charms that would make Calamity Carl's cruise ship speed up. There's a few zodiac animal themed potions. We didn't quite make it through them all though. And I'll put this in the chat for your clicking convenience. Jade bases are so nice for beginners. The original Jade base comes back year after year, so you'll still be able to pick up the Jade base, but all the carved ones, those are all limited editions. So they were a I was here for it type collectible base, if you will. You go to a concert and you get a t-shirt and then they don't sell that t-shirt anymore, but when you wear that t-shirt, you're like, I remember that concert I went to. Those are the engraved Jade bases. Like, I remember that Lunar New Year event. Didn't the hobby horse come around in an earlier birthday? Well, this is called the horsepower potion. So you see what I was going for. It was a little cute, I know. Do you think the hobby horse had horsepower? It was a physical trap. Still is a physical trap. There's the rockin' horse as well. Sri, you wonder where Carl is and is he doing fine? Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. Carl's around somewhere. Whether you think Carl's doing fine or not, well, I don't know. I think we'd have to ask Carl. Some people might think, I think he's doing okay. And other people might say, I don't think he's doing well at all. But I guess that's the calamity. Lisa still has some cruise bucks in your inventory. I wonder if I have cruise bucks, Lisa. Let's check. That's a nice little keepsake. I do. I have 2 cruise bucks as well. Well, there we go. Take a little walk down memory lane. Very long-term project. We'd like to organize inventories a little bit better. Dare I say, we've broken ground on that, but that is a long ways away still. But it's coming along. But it'd be fun to browse through and see a few little nostalgic mementos of past events that way. Carl got lost in the labyrinth, eh? Yeah, but that would be fun to be able to kind of look at all your little keepsakes of past events, vintage items, if you will. Elf has 299 cruise bucks. Now, I gotta ask, do you wish you had an item that you could have picked up for your cruise bucks, or do you like having just the collectible? I've got 299 of those cruise bucks. Michelle has 21 cruise bucks. Look, everybody's got some cruise bucks. It's a currency no longer accepted. But like a coin collector, the fun isn't spending them. Sometimes the fun is collecting them. Well, hunters, I think that's going to do it for me. Lunch is coming up. I think today calls for soup, something warm, something comforting here. Hopefully in your neck of the woods, it's a little bit warmer and more comfortable. $10 cruise bucks. Well, a quick little recap here. Lunar New Year is just around the corner. You can look forward to a new horse theme, which you might be able to see right there. Some new trap skins, new ingot, as well as, of course, double, triple loot drops. You can get up to plus 50 luck bonus. That is coming Tuesday, February 10. It is a 2-week-long event. It'll end on February 24. On February 24, then you do have a little bit of time to claim anything on the reward track that you haven't claimed, but you can't light candles, you can't collect cheese. The events really come to an end, but you can claim stuff if you didn't get a chance to claim it before the event ended. So you look forward to that. A little reminder, pro tip, you might want to set yourself up in a few locations where you're going to be able to use the candle bonuses to your advantage as well. Next week will probably be Jacob, I would think. Yeah, and then sure enough, Lunar New Year would be here. Yeah, so I will see you again after Lunar New Year is live. What's that? February 13th, Friday the 13th. All right, well, we'll have to be very careful and cautious in a couple weeks. I want to see you again on Feedback Friday. Well, have a fantastic weekend, hunters. Thanks for joining me, and happy hunting.
Two.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap.